Hello,
and welcome to The Fool and the Philosopher.
the Philosopher and the Fool. There is something cultish in a way that's hard to describe compared to normal cults of hugboxness, like hug boxes.
Did you see
So,
the NDP's?
I think I know a little bit about it, but the case I want to talk about is with the Yogscast. They released a members video recently, and they're playing Blood on the Clock Tower, and you go into rooms to talk to people.
Yeah.
And this recording, I think, had like a 50-50 split of men and women. And the girls got all giggly, and they said, oh, let's go talk in this building together. And then Mark or Mara, who at the time of recording was gender fluid, said, oh, can I come in too, because I'm a girl? And that made me feel physically ill, and I stopped watching the video.
Alright, continue.
What?
No, I just had to swallow my bile.
Your gorge. Well, so I went into the comments, and I have this feature that lets me search YouTube comments. And so this is members only. So there's
It's just roleplay, isn't it? Like, it's just this...
There's less comments than normal. And a lot of the comments are saying, oh, this video got dated by Mara because she came out as being totally trans instead of gender fluid. Or like continually trans. And I filtered just the Mara comments, and at the very bottom was this one guy who said, a lot of people aren't going to like to hear this, but it's really sad how basically Mark has been tricked into this ideology of not being certain who they are, and the people around him will only affirm it while gritting their teeth or being totally bought into it in one way or another. And it's this spiral that I hope he can escape one day and realize what it is. And I searched for that comment again.
Yeah.
It's gone now.
Yeah, it's deleted or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I went to like the coming out video that Mark or Mara released of like saying I'm actually trans.
Yeah.
And like they have talked about all the things going on with that video and like why they thought was and all those things. And the comments are all like, oh, I'm so proud of you, I'm so happy. And it's just sort of like the one of the biggest problems I have with it is so it's like if Mara said, if you have a problem with this, like, I just want you to, like, try to be understanding and, like, just respect me and give me your respect and all that stuff. And it's like, that's all trans people have ever wanted. It's like, there is bad actors in the world. But this movement of your had, there's not allowed to be bad actors because it's all information and this hug box. And the more and more, like, I encounter people who are, like, agender or they were gender fluid and then they went to being trans or, like, the curiosity, like the whole case of Finster. And like, there's this thing I recently saw on X, which this guy said, so I had this friend who used to be super, like, trans positive, and he didn't get why I was against it. And then I showed him an egg cracking subreddit, and he agreed with me. But
No, if you go to any trans, like...
And like, the egg cracking thing. So, because early on in my own YouTube, because I use a female model for my Minecraft character, people were trying to crack my egg. And it's like, what? No. It's just no.
Yeah, and that's...
But for a bit, it does have this siren call on you. And it's a form of grooming. Like, there's
What did someone... My avatar, someone was like, why is your avatar a Jewish demon? A what? That's not a Jewish demon. That's a unilateral hexagram.
Yeah. Order! Hexagram! It's a demon! My brain cannot contend.
Actually, no, mine's not a unilateral hexagram. It's actually a tetrarchus with a hexagram inscribed upon it. But
You could imply something about the person calling that a demon.
Yeah.
But it's the...
But I had the same thing where they kept trying to make me a Jewish demon, and it was like...
Oh, but like the more like you think about it, it's like, holy, that is horrifying what they were trying to do.
Well, I have a hope with Finster specifically that he will be the... So this is something Douglas... what was his name?
Adams? Murray?
No, Scott Adams, sorry.
Scott Adams.
This is something Scott Adams would talk about a lot.
Rest in peace.
With hypnotism. He called it pacing.
Yeah.
And so he found the best way to hypnotize someone or to get them to act in the way you wanted them to act was you first copied them and then you started doing your own motions and they would start copying you.
Yeah.
And so I think Finster is kind of the guy that has the ability to pace transgenderism because he still goes by male pronouns. He doesn't concern himself with passing or having his voice sound feminine or anything like that. Although he did recently say, like, he got facial surgery recently, which is like...
Yeah, there's a point where it's like, oh, I can't go back anymore because I've mutilated my body.
And now his facial surgery included a whatever that thing's... He can breathe, basically, through his nose now. And he said his energy levels have gone up like 50%. And so, like that, it's like, yeah, that's a plastic surgery that... Amazing. Go for it. But, and I think it was actually the other way around. I think it wasn't like he's getting the breathe good surgery and he's like, while you're here, can you fix my nose? I think it was actually, hey, while you're fixing my nose, you want to make me breathe, which is a crazy way to do it. But especially since he didn't follow the plastic surgeon's instructions afterwards, they said you have to sleep on your back for 3 weeks. And he slept on his side, so now his nose is like crooked. So I think that's a bit far. But I think he has gone a bit far in his own mind. But I think that he is still capable of sort of turning around and being like, hey, just because I like something that's non-standard doesn't mean I have to follow this rigid regime of everything else. And I think that can lead other people out.
Just like certain things like HRT and like the hormone block, like those things, like hormone blockers were initially developed to chemically castrate prisoners who were basically sex offenders. Like that's...
I don't think that matters. But I think that weakens your argument. It's the same thing with ivermectin's horse paste, right?
Okay, so, yeah, I won't use that, but my problem with it then, rather, is they're horrifying in what they do to you.
Yes, but I don't think even bringing up the castration of prisoners, like, it castrates you is what you can say about hormone blockers, I think, because when you bring that up, then you're...
No, fair enough. I can agree with you that.
Yeah.
It castrates you. It stops bone development. HRT causes osteoporosis, which is a horrifying condition, which is your bones become brittle.
Yeah.
And they start losing structure. You know the Hero Quest, the creepy pink guys with like they're stretched and they've got like the sort of like weird bodies.
Like that board game,
Yeah, like the weird stretched sort of like hollow but still looks kind of solid. That's what osteoporosis does to your bones.
Yeah.
That's what they start looking like.
Makes them very weak and full of holes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it like causes other things. Like it causes your certain hormone producing glands to try to compensate, and then that wears them out, and so it artificially ages them, so they age faster.
And so the trans argument here is actually it's a pretty solid one, which is yes, it does all that, and that's still better than the alternative, therefore it is very much a real condition. And where I think the problem starts to arise is what you were telling me with like this Mark Mara thing, is where you have this role play where like I'm a girl right now, so can I go in there? It's like that's just weird. Like like that's, you can't just, well, maybe you can, look, there's more to the world than we can ever know, right? Mm-hmm. But to me that feels like a very much, we're all pretending to be a being in a simulation, and I'm going to flip my avatar over to the girl avatar mode. Like, is there a game where that's easy to do? I can't even think of one. Terraria? Can you change your avatar in Terraria?
Not really, not like that.
In Baldur's Gate, I'm going to upload a new portrait for my character in the multiplayer of Baldur's Gate. I'm going to in Baldur's Gate 2, right? I'm going to upload a new portrait that's a girl, so that I can go to the girls only team over here. And that's fine. If you're playing Baldur's Gate, you just want to like, I'm going to flip for a moment for a fun joke. Go over there. Or not even a joke. You can be serious. You're playing a game, right? Yeah. Do what you want. Go for it. When it's your life, it's weird. Like, they're doing it in a harmless context, right? Yeah. Like, it's like, oh, can I come into your group? And it would even be funny, like, you can imagine a situation, let's say Simon or something, puts on a wig and he's like, oh, I'm going to go into the girls' room. Like, that's funny, right? Or it could even just be fun. They're having fun together. It doesn't have to be funny. Not everything has to be a joke. You don't have to hide everything you like with a joke, right? Like with Finster, it was like, oh no, my viewers are making me do it for so long. It's like, no, they're not, Finster. You can just have fun with this whole situation. And eventually he did do that. But then eventually he slipped a step further. And I think it might be because that middle ground of like, just do what you want is so hard to stay in when you have the defense of a joke. And then when you give up on the defense of a joke, you just kind of rocket past. Yeah. It's hard to stay in that middle ground, I think, for him. But I think that play of, but when it's actually in your mind, like, okay, this is the girls thing, and therefore I'm going to be a girl, so I can go with the girls, which isn't to say like you're being creepy. It's just like, oh, right now my avatar is a girl. It's like, you're not an avatar. And I think the fact that you think of yourself as an avatar might be a root of a problem there. But someone being trans in general I don't like most of the solutions that are done,
No.
but I do think it is a real condition simply by the fact that people are someone says something, who am I to read their mind?
Yeah.
But I think the solution most of the time. Now that said, I think there are people, and I think they're a lot rarer than what we're seeing, and it's hard to tell. And it is their life, so I guess people are allowed to give themselves osteoporosis if they want, maybe.
I disagree. I don't think...
I'd have to think about that.
I don't agree with that.
But let's get back to that, actually, because that's an interesting conversation. But I think...
Actually, no. People are allowed to give themselves osteoporosis. You are not allowed to give someone the ability to give themselves osteoporosis.
Let's say my diet I have right now, which has a lot of meat in it, is giving me... it's either making me weak, or it's giving me a doubled chance of bowel cancer, or it's giving me... it makes me need to sleep for 2 extra hours a day, something like that. It has this huge drawback. So it's like, okay, so this is clearly unhealthy for you, so you should stop doing it, let's say, right?
Yeah.
And my counter to that would be, even if it's doubling my chance of bowel cancer, which would suck, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that is the case, I'm just making something up, right? But now it's easy to say I'll take the chance, but let's say it's guaranteed to shorten my life by 5 years.
Yeah.
Right. My maximum lifespan. Even then, it's like, okay, it's guaranteed to shorten my maximum lifespan by 5 years, but I can think. Like, I have energy to think. I'm not just tired all the time and depressed, and the world is this spiraling, endless pain, basically.
Yeah.
Like pain in a more mental sense than anything. It's like, I will trade 5 years of the max of my life for whatever quality years I have until that point. And so I think that is an argument that is pretty fair to make for a lot of trans people, if that is the case, right? Like, it's a bad solution, but it's the best we have, right? Like, I think long as...
Why there's less onus put on you for your decision is someone smoking. It's like, I don't care, I'm going to keep smoking.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, but you're gross.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally, you are inflicting a grossness on the world around you. People can't stand the smell of you. When you do your habit out in public, you poison the literal air. You're,
And smokers do that kind of thing, too. Yeah.
And you're putting a blight on the world.
Yeah.
And then with the trans thing, it's you are demanding of the world that they bend to you.
Well, that's the thing. It doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be, but that's why people, I think, are pushing back on it and don't like it. And
I'd like to imagine a scenario here for a moment, right?
Yeah.
Someone's like, look, I'm trans, and you're the doctor, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, we can try hormones. We can try changing the diet, see what that does. Simplest thing we'll try first is we'll try this medication that might just help with depression. We'll see if that fixes it. And if that doesn't work, we'll try diet, and if that doesn't work, we'll try surgery or hormones. But we'll keep an eye open while we're doing the hormones and surgery for some other options. And they're like, no, I don't want to do surgery because I'm just freaked out by things, and I can't change my diet. I just have no willpower. So can we just go with the hormones? The doctor's like, yeah, sure, okay, we'll do that. And nowhere along the line was anyone like, you're a bigot or you're an idiot. Like, it was just like, let's figure it out. We'll come up with the best solution. We'll try 3 things. We'll see which one works.
Yeah.
And then they're like, they go out into the world. They take their hormones. They don't really pass, let's say. And I wonder, this is where it gets weird, because mental illnesses are often, because right now we're talking in medical terms of like physiological, like biological medical terms, right?
Yeah.
But when you get to the point of you have to refer to me by specific pronouns, you're getting into a mental illness.
Yeah.
Because you can say, look, I feel way better if I look like a woman. And you're like, fair enough, go for it. But the part where you're like, I feel way better if you call me this, it's like, well, that's...
Look, I'm trans handsome, and you have to call me handsome, and you have to treat me as I'm a handsome person.
It's like, well, that's on you, right? Like, that's your strength you have to build.
Yeah.
Now, the part that... Now, unfortunately, it's all on you, because even, like, the physical thing is on you in a way. But... Because I've met very few trans people in my life, but I've run into a few that became trans, but never afterwards met them. Yeah. I just cut them off. No, it just happens. I've just never run into them after.
I didn't know you were a surgeon.
But...
That's a awful joke.
But the one I have spent the most time with, she's fairly young. She's like 19, 20, something like that. And, her friends were talking to her because it was like, go off to university, come back a woman, basically, right? Yeah. And so her friends are like, what the... But it's Gen Z, and Gen Z is very open, I would say, in a lot of ways. So the friend's like, what do I call you? And they're like, oh, whatever, just doesn't care too much. I prefer she or her, but it's like, you do you. And that was it. Yeah. That's the kind of person you're like, this person's looking for solutions. Yeah. and they are a good person, and they're just like, we'll try it out, and I don't, because they weren't like going after their friends like, you must call me this, or I'll kill you and then myself. It was just like, hey, I prefer this, but I get that it's confusing, like changing your name. Like I have a friend, she hates going by her first name, and she's always like, no, you have to call me this specific name, and so you call her first name for fun to mess her up. And it's so hard for me to like change the name I refer to someone as. But it's the same situation where they're like, hey, can you please just call me such and such? And you're like, I'll try. But even then, they can ask you, right? It's totally fine to ask. But I might not be able to do it because changing name is so weird. Like, honestly, I think for me, it's probably easier for someone to do a sex change than a name change in terms of me referring to them. Like, if they keep their same name, I'm like, easy.
Yeah.
But they change their name and I'm like, oh, that's going to be weird for a while.
Yeah. The names is such a weird one as well because you don't really get to choose your own name.
Yeah.
And I have a very odd experience with that. So in high school, I had this incredibly competitive group of all guys in a gym class.
Yeah.
And I think it was during Ultimate Frisbee. One of the guys forgot my name.
Yeah.
He just had no idea what my name was. And he called me Greg.
Yeah.
He just shouted out Greg. And that was my nickname for that gym class. For no reason. Was in that gym class, I was Greg.
All my students call me Glasses.
Really?
Yeah, they're like, Glasses, I need help.
Yeah, but I had no choice. Like, I realized, like, that group of guys I was among, there was no point saying, don't call me Greg.
Yeah, no.
It wouldn't have worked. It didn't matter. I was
You don't
Greg.
get to choose your nickname. No.
Yeah.
No,
And
that's the group.
yeah, and so I was just Greg in that class.
My coworker actually, like, my old...
And one of the interesting things about it, though, is Greg is a far better name to scream than Connor.
Yeah, Connor's hard to yell.
When you're playing Ultimate Frisbee and you want Greg to catch the Frisbee, you go like, Greg! And you chuck it. And that's way easier than shouting out Connor.
I actually had a moment a week ago where he's not my boss, but he's like my mentor coworker, basically. Like, he's the older guy. He phoned me and he's like, hey, Sparky. And I just had this moment where I paused and I was like, I guess that's my name now. Like, nothing I can do. Like, how do you even respond to that? I was like, what's up, Rust Bucket? Like, what are you supposed to do? Like, that's...
You can respond like that.
Yeah. Well, I wish I had, because looking back, because it's... And then he started laughing, and because he knew it was like a funny thing to do, to like just throw a random nickname on someone out of nowhere that has no correlation to anything.
And I know there's
But you just kind of have this moment, I guess I'm Sparky now.
Yeah, there's these YouTube comedy shorts done by guys who used to work in construction. You can very much tell they're like hard-done guys who used to work in construction and became comedians. And one of a recurring character is the mentor, so he's the senior, and he's protecting the new guy who he calls Tacklebox.
Yeah.
And it's because, and the very first sketch with the character Tacklebox is like, the sketch was like hazing the new guy.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you showed up with a lunch bin that locks. You're a Tacklebox from now on. That's what we're going to call you for the rest of your life. And then there's just other scenes where it's like, look away, Tacklebox. You're like, cover your ears, Tacklebox. I'm going to swear a whole bunch at this guy. Or it's like, hey, Tacklebox, things about getting rough around here. Why don't you go take a break from the truck?
Yeah, well, actually, it kind of reminds me of my job.
And that's very much a construction job.
That reminds me of a job doing silviculture, even. Like, cutting down trees and running a wood chipper and everything. Yeah. Like, just a whole lot of, like, all right, that guy owes me money. We're going to go talk to him. And I was like, what? He's like, I need this backup to make sure it doesn't go too far. I was like, okay. We didn't have the nickname thing, but, I could definitely see that sort of, like, that type of scenario. Yeah.
But you don't get to choose that.
Yeah. No, and this is, I think Jordan Peterson's the one that said it quite a bit in the terms of your relationships with the world are not dictated, they're negotiated.
Yeah.
So, like, you can say to someone, okay, that nickname, that reminds me of my dead cat. Just please don't. And they're like, okay, fine, fair enough. Fair enough, like, dead cat or whatever. Yeah. So you can negotiate, right?
Yeah.
But you don't get to choose. I've said it before. I said it first, and then Destiny, of all people, copied me, apparently. I don't know how he had the exact same phrase word for word as me.
He probably read it off Wikipedia.
I didn't.
No, he did.
Yeah, but why would it be on Wikipedia?
Yeah, it's your Wikipedia.
I don't have no clue. But anyway, words are descriptive, not prescriptive, right?
Yeah.
And the same is true of reality, where people, you can say, I feel like I'm a redhead at heart.
Yeah.
But if people don't perceive you as a redhead, that's on, that's how it is. They don't see you as a redhead.
Well, actually...
And that's fine. You can think of yourself as a redhead, right?
Well, my favorite... It's a problem that Japanese anime has clashing with us. And it's such a stupid trope. But it's... you have this giant man with the most square jaw in the world. And you can see the stubble on it.
Yeah.
and then he's got like eyelashes and lipstick, and he's wearing a dress.
Yeah.
It's like, can't you tell I have the heart of a little girl? Or it's like, hey boys, he's like waving to a bunch of men.
Yeah.
And they're grossed out by it. And him grossing them out is like a part of the joke, and that's what he wants. And it's like this character. It would be viewed as very transphobic.
Yeah.
But it's like this joke in Japan of the gay guy who's effeminate and dresses like a girl, but he's like the most manly man ever.
But it doesn't really... Well, I think we do have that joke as well. It's just much harder to do now because there's the offense of the...
But there's the offense, but it's... He is the super... Like, was it in One Punch Man, one of the strongest superheroes is one of those characters. And you can look at two things. He's this ridiculously powerful man who's incredibly strong. And so his character is... In the world, he is this very strong guy, and that's how people see him. That's the descriptive reality that is negotiated. But he also wants to be this girly guy who likes other men. And so there's a clash in there, and that is who he is. And he doesn't demand on the world that they treat him like a little girl beyond jokes.
So, now this is where we come back to what you were talking about before.
Yeah.
You think you can make demands on other people. And I'm curious how we work with that. So you're saying, because I said, like, if you want to give yourself osteoporosis... Fair enough, go for it. But you're saying, no, I don't think that is right. So you are making a demand on the other person.
No, I changed. I said, you can give yourself osteoporosis. You can't ask someone to give you osteoporosis. Or rather, it's not even you can't ask it, if you ask someone to give you osteoporosis, they can't give it to you.
You gave it to yourself, you mean, or what?
No, they can't give,
You're not allowed to harm others just because they gave you permission?
Yes.
Right.
It's if someone asks you to cut off their hand because they feel like a one-handed person, you are not allowed to facilitate that.
Right. But let's say you're a puberty blocker salesman.
Yeah.
And what you do is you sell puberty blockers. You're not... And let's say there is a medical use for them. I think, actually, speaking of Scott Adams, he had, like, testosterone suppressors, like, removed his pain near the end of his life. So it's like, there is a medical use for things along that line, right? So you just make these drugs. And people come in and they buy the drugs, they leave. Should you be at the door like, why are you buying these drugs? Or should you just say, welcome, here you go, buy, like you're a grocery store? And what level is that responsibility yours?
I think that's the level of responsibility of a arms manufacturer. In those cases, you have to semi-separate yourself from it.
Yeah, but because you're just like, they could be using for self-defense, like just, there you go. Like, are you just, because grocery stores, they don't go like, what are you using those avocados for?
Yeah.
You know, don't want them.
Yeah.
like you just buy the groceries and you leave,
yes.
right? And even a hardware store, like, okay, I'd like to buy an axe, a knife, 3 rolls of duct tape, and a
bucket of bleach.
A bucket of bleach and some ropes. And they're like, all right, there you go. Like, now they might flag the police. I don't know if they have a procedure for that or not.
Yeah.
But theoretically, you can just go to the store and buy stuff and then...
But it's... Yeah, I don't think you should be able to, like, check the person with it.
Yeah. Well, this is getting weird, but why not? Let's do, like, in Vancouver, they have those safe injection sites. Yeah. Because a lot of people get these horrible infections from, like, improper injection procedures. Yeah. And the theory is that they're going to do it anyways. So you may as well do it in a way that's, like, safe. Like, you're going to use clean needles. You're going to not be passed out in the river.
Okay, so the argument against that, the common argument, is that the social stigma actually stops people from doing it. Yeah. It lowers the amount of people doing it, and it keeps them out of the way of people who just want to live their life. And if that's something you don't want to be around, is people doing that. And having it socially acceptable makes it easier to get into. So it should be stigmatized, and the people should be shamed and forced to hide in hovels while they try to take their drugs.
What if you have a safe injection site, right? But you only hire, like, complete jerks for nurses. So they're like, hey, it's the loser, come to get his injection again. All right, we'll give you your injection, loser. You need drugs to get through the day. Like, what if you do that?
I don't know, but it's one of the problems with drugs is it's the right to swing your fist ends where my nose begins.
Yeah.
And it's trying to judge the noseness versus fistness in that situation and the effect, plus the social stigma stops drugs. And drugs are destructive, and they are very obviously destructive. Like, other things we're not so certain, the jury's still out, whereas drugs are just vile.
Well, what are you calling drugs, though? Because...
things that make people, like, stand around like a zombie in the center of the street, vomiting and ruining the environment around them. People who, you want to go to a nice park, and they're stabbing each other with needles in the park and screaming and flailing.
Because what's that one drug called? Special K or whatever. Or ecstasy or something like that. I can't remember what it's called. But they found...
Well, so even the... like, on the you can do what you want to yourself, and there's the safe public injection sites, is we have laws against being publicly intoxicated.
Yeah.
And there's good reason for that, I think. And so even, like, there could be a bar where you go there and you get shot with heroin. It's like the opium den.
Yeah.
Like, those, I would rather have the veterinary situation of make the crime legal and you have to pay for it and it's taxed than these safe injection sites. I think that's a better solution than a safe injection site is, oh, no, this drug is legal, but we're going to take the crime out of it, and we're going to take the crime out of it by basically making it taxed and regulated and getting the IRS involved or the revenue agency involved and make it boring and less exciting. And, oh, you're doing drugs in public? Well, buddy, you're going to go in the slammer for the night until you get detoxified, and if you do that 3 times, then we're going to send you to prison for a year where you can do no drugs. And you go to the drug bar.
Just like marijuana, ecstasy, opium even, they have very beneficial like medical uses. Yeah. Like in terms of like, I think it was ecstasy, but I don't remember. There was a drug that basically seemed to solve like depression in a huge number of cases, but it's an illegal drug.
Yeah.
And so they're doing all these trials like, can we separate that active component from the drug so that we can give this to people? And it's like, that's a lot of work when you could just be handing out ecstasy at the pharmacy, right? Like,
yeah. But then there's the other thing, which is, so with the legalization of weed, more and more intense strains are being made of it because it's profitable in that fact, and you're not like worrying about just trying to sell it and not get caught. And then people are taking it in more and more intense ways. And in those cases, being found that it literally decreases your IQ and makes you dumber and starts destroying your personality. And then artificial cannabis, whichever that chemical is horrifying. Like, it's 50% of the time, you're like flipping the coin if you take artificial cannabis of if it'll have a positive effect on you or destroy you.
And what about like chlorine? Like, we don't make chlorine illegal. You could be doing chlorine.
Yeah.
And it would kill you, but like we don't make it illegal, right? Like you can buy chlorine. Or
but I don't want to, but someone can't do chlorine in public.
Ivermectin can like wreck your kidneys and liver, or maybe it's just your liver, right? But do we want to still allow people to talk about using ivermectin, or hopefully ivermectin cures something? They're just desperate, they're looking for anything, right? But we're like, no, that's illegal, so we don't want people to be able to ruin themselves with their liver damage.
Yeah.
So the question kind of becomes, where's that line where you trust people, and where's that line where you have to bind people, I think.
Yeah.
And what right do you have to actually save people from themselves?
Yeah, but you don't, I think where I draw my line is you don't have to save people from yourselves, if they ask you to hurt them, you say no, and that should be illegal. You can't be allowed to ask someone to hurt you, and you can't be a person who hurts others.
What is pain? Because someone's like, please give me opium, like, I'm just in so much pain. It's like, are you hurting them or are you helping them? It's a tricky one.
And that's why we make these laws, is we debate about the moral philosophy of the thing, and then we make the decision.
I think the laws tend to fall on the side of banning.
Yes.
But I'm thinking, like, with the transgender one, like, I think it's a very similar situation to opium, where you're like, please, I'm hurting, just help me. And it's like, I don't think it would be fair to call that doctor evil just for giving out the trans surgery or the opium.
Well, the problem is, I don't think they are helping.
And you could say the same for opium, right?
Yeah, I don't think giving them the opium is helping. I really don't. I don't think that's the right solution.
Or like, please, I've got cancer, I want the ivermectin. It's like, well, it's not going to help, like, right? Because we don't have any studies.
Yeah, I get that double standard there. I get the point you're at. And that's when the problem of what do you know is right. And then it comes to individual judgment. That's your individual judgment versus the world.
And maybe it gets weird because you could say, what if doctors, each doctor just had to make their own call, right?
Yeah.
But that would lead to a situation where
you go to the doctor who gives you opium.
And also, the doctors could refuse service to people.
Yeah.
Like, no, I don't want to help you. It's like,
you smell funny.
Yeah. Now, you would hope, there's the famous case when Reagan was shot. Reagan was like a Republican that the Democrats hated.
Yeah.
And he was rushed to the hospital, and he was about to be put under, and the surgeon that was going to operate on him was there. And Reagan, he tried to make best of the situation. He's like dying for this wound, and he's like, so he said to the surgeon, I hope you're a Republican. And now this surgeon was actually famously a very hardcore Democrat who hated the Republican Party. But what the surgeon said was, tonight, Mr. President, we're all Republicans.
Yeah.
Which, like, I want everyone to be like that guy, right? Like, that's the kind of person you want, where he's like, look, we disagree on how the country should be run, but we're all on the same team here.
Yeah.
And you can say the same thing for like medical, like we disagree about how your suffering should stop, but we want you to stop suffering.
Yeah, we want the suffering to end.
Yeah. And I think maybe what you could do is you could actually have...
Where my problem begins, especially with the trans problem, is that we're not allowed to say, I don't think this is the way we should go forward.
Well, that's what I was going to get to, is I think an interesting solution would be something along the lines of... It's the same rule I had to implement at one point because I was going crazy. But if someone says, all right, you and me, let's hang out, right?
Yeah.
And I say, sure, let's hang out. You want to play Frisbee? If you say no, then either you have to recommend a new thing we do, or we don't hang out. I am no longer responsible for choosing the activity.
Yes.
So I think you could do the same thing with the doctors, where you're like, hey, can you give me hormones? I'm trans. And the doctor's like, let's try electroshock. As long as they have... that was a terrible example. I just thought it'd be funny. But no, as long as the doctor has an alternative solution, they don't have to give you the specific thing. They can say this will harm you. But if they go to you and like, I'm in tons of pain, can you give me opium? You're like, let's try Tylenol. It's like, Tylenol doesn't work. Okay, let's try cloves. Cloves didn't work. Okay, I'm out of options. All right, we'll give you the opium. Like that could be something along that line. Now the problem is, and why I did bring up electroshock therapy in part, was you do have the issue there where they'll just stick their, like, well, let's try therapy for 3 months. And it's like, okay, I did 3 months of therapy, it didn't work. Well, let's try 3 more months. Because sometimes these things take a while. And then you would just never get to the point you wanted. Or, like, you would try something crazy like electroshock or, like, because some therapies I think are more harm than good. Like, not necessarily electroshock. There's, Lex Friedman, he did an interview with one of the creators of World of Warcraft. I don't know if you saw that one, but...
No, I don't watch that, just Friedman.
But it's like really, really interesting, like crazy interesting. And I didn't think it would be because like this is just some Blizzard employee.
Yeah.
But he talked about a case where he had some condition like I think it was depression.
Yeah.
And then they used electroshock therapy and it like fixed it like completely. And he said like, I would not recommend this to anyone, but it worked. Like I'm no longer depressed. My life is great. I have tons of energy. And it was like, how do you, if you had my new idea of like, as long as you have an alternative, then you're allowed to...
Well, that's the thing, like how I dealt with both hallucinations and dysphoria, or whatever that's called, like the body dysphoria. I wanted to recommend to anyone.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't work for most people, which is I said no.
Yeah. Because
I was told the story about the Flying Scotsman, and I thought this is the coolest man ever. Was it the Flying Scotsman? Or?
What, like
this guy who was really depressed, and he basically logicked himself out of being depressed.
I'm not sure who that was. That might have been... Oh, like the biker guy. Yeah. Or it might have been him, yeah.
But so it's basically some guy, he had like terrible depression, but he's very smart. And he's like around the edge of having IQ where like you're at that little IQ, you get depression sort of thing. Like it's like God's punishment for being smart. Yeah. But he had just enough that he could logic himself out of being... And I was like, that's really cool. I want to be like that guy.
I'm not sure that... This is like a personal aside pet peeve thing, right? I don't think being smart makes you depressed. I think that's cope from losers.
Fair enough.
Not to be harsh.
But I'm just talking about the tropes.
Yeah, because I think actually there is a level around 70 to 75 IQ where it can actually cause depression because what happens is you're incapable of doing anything basically. Yeah. Because you just don't have the intelligence to function in the reality. But you are smart enough to like interact with the world on a level where you realize I'm not smart enough to do anything. Yeah. And that can suck.
Yeah, you want to be a little bit dumber.
Yeah, or a little bit smarter, so you can at least scan bags at the grocery store or something. But you're just at the point where you're like, I know I can't do anything, and I can't do anything about it. Yeah. And it sucks. Yeah.
But so guy lodged himself out, and I was told that story, and I was having like weird teenage hormone depression and hallucinations, and there was a solution, which is if things are weird and wrong and you don't understand the world, then you have dysphoria. Yeah. And so you latch onto things to try to fix that, and I was like, no, I'm done having these hallucinations, I'm done having these angst, I'm done having all this. And I was literally standing in the hall of high school when I had this thought. I was like, no, I'm done with this. And I sort of like gritted my teeth and like tears started pouring down my face. And I went on with my life. Yeah. And that's how I fixed that. Yeah. And that doesn't work for most people.
Yeah. And it's hard one to just recommend as I think psychology as a field is a lost cause. I think, like, I don't think it works. I think This is sounding like I'm...
And like what I recognize now is what I thought was depression, which might be, which I had for a while, was just me being really tired.
Yeah, no, being well rested helps a lot. And I like I've said, I think most psychological conditions are physiological.
Yeah.
And I think most of them are just being tired. Now, that doesn't mean just sleep more, because that doesn't always work. Like, for example...
Well, that's the thing. I couldn't sleep more. Like, I would sleep more at didn't work is because I wasn't getting enough oxygen and various other things, and I was being poisoned.
Yeah, like, sleep apnea is a common one where people are like, whoa, like, I got, like, a breathing mask and suddenly I can... Or, like, they get that surgery on their nostrils, or
you have a thyroid problem that can
or in my case I could sleep, like I wasn't waking up as far as I'm aware in the middle of the night or anything, like I don't think I had sleep apnea, but I would wake up with the same tired I'd gone to sleep after 8 hours of sleep, after 10 hours of sleep, after 12 hours of sleep. It just didn't change how and if I woke up after 6 hours of sleep, I was slightly more tired, and so it just went down and down and down. Did that for like 4 years until I was figured it out. But I think anyways, I don't think psychology works as a field because it's trying to be scientific about humans. And I think every human, you can't judge a society based on averages. I think you need to be going human to human. And I was thinking, like you, that worked for you, right? So if a psychologist had said that to you and you're like, okay, I'll try it. And they're like, oh, I'm better. Whoa, thanks, doc. Right? Great. But they try that on someone else and that person just like ends up shooting themselves because like, whoa, that was the worst solution, didn't do anything. And so I think I was wondering about a solution to this, or it's more of a hypothesis versus curiosity, or hypothesis / curiosity.
Yeah.
Jung had this concept of archetypes.
Yeah.
And so he said some people are architects, some people are bards, some people are what were they?
Adventure or explorer?
Yeah, explorers, adventurers, that sort of thing. So he had 16 archetypes.
Yeah, I think explorer's the one, not adventure.
And sage, I think, is one. Yeah. And it would be really interesting, and I don't think they're actually that good, because Myers-Briggs is based on them, and Myers-Briggs is nonsense. But it'd be interesting if the whole field of psychology, instead of going, here's an antidepressant, we'll try it and see if that works, instead they start with, we're going to figure out which archetype you are, and then we will treat you as your archetype.
Well, so that's the interesting thing with Chinese medicine. So
they do it with like 3 main groups, right? Or like
5. You have your tan, you have your element.
Right, so it's based on each of the elements. So like metal, wood, fire, water,
and
air.
so they look at your element and they figure out what you need based on your element. And if you look at their elements, and you look at blood types, there's 5 major blood types. And their element advice applies to blood type advice in this long-term study that was done on like blood types and eat right for your blood type. If you look at that, then to the elements of the old Chinese medicine. So it's not all just weird alchemy. It's actually
because I think
it's repetitive observation.
Well, that's what I've noticed in my life that there isn't I've met thousands of people, right? But I feel like I haven't met thousands of people. I felt like I've met like 30 maybe.
I haven't told you. This house is infested with gnomes.
Gnomes?
Yes.
Oh.
Now, I want to explain my 2 encounters with the gnomes.
Okay.
This is relevant.
Okay.
This is relevant. Because what I said is the Chinese medicine is based off repetitive observation.
Yeah.
So, I actually still have to pay the gnomes back for them stopping tricking me.
Okay.
So the first thing that the gnomes did to me, which I noticed, is they stole my house keys.
Yeah.
And the spare keys. I have no idea where they were. I had to get replacements. And they still haven't given them back. I have no idea what happened, but the gnomes stole those. And on the night I was looking for them, it's quite late at night, and I was like having these struggles with these files. And I go out to my desk, and it has 3 files spread out of these loose paper. And it's like, okay, so I have this one to do, and I have this one to do, this one to do. They're not exactly organized, so let me put them together so I make sure I have all the walls, all the notes, have like the heights of the buildings. And I put the 3 things together and I was looking and it's like, this isn't right. This one's missing this piece of data, this one's missing this piece of data, and this one's missing this piece of data. The gnomes stole my paperwork.
Yeah.
And so I was just like freaking out about this, and so I went to bed and I was just like stressed about it, so I looked it up. And apparently you're supposed to ask the gnomes basically to stop pranking you.
Yeah.
And then you're supposed to give them a payment of some sort of food or something, like leave it out.
Yeah.
And next morning I got up and I went and I looked at the paperwork, and I realized that the one file that I thought was there I'd already completed, and there's actually only 2 files on the table, and I'd been mixing them together.
Right.
But my observation was gnomes had stolen key parts of my paperwork.
Yeah.
And what I'm getting at is the appeasement of gnomes is literally taking a breath and stopping to think about it.
In terms of, like, you say, hey, can you stop messing with me? And then...
Yeah, stop messing with me, and then you go to bed. You stop worrying about it, and then you wake up, and you're not as tired, and you look at the paperwork, and you realize this is actually 2 files, not 3, and that's why data's missing, is because there's only 2 sets of data, and you're trying to make 3 out of it.
Yeah.
And so I encountered gnomes,
Yeah.
and the gnomes appeared because my keys are missing. I have no explanation for it. So my house is infested with gnomes.
Yeah, and now you have to leave out the food to thank them, right?
Yeah, well, I've already thanked them, but I have to leave out the food, and maybe after that they'll return the keys.
Yeah, yeah, and there's wisdom in that sort of folk stuff, I think, for sure.
Yeah.
Whatever the outcome is, gnomes or not, like it.
Yeah.
It makes sense. But
I mean, I have one on my desk holding a pizza.
you have 2 on your desk, really.
Yeah, well, one's a Santa.
Yeah, you got all.
Well, they're both Santas.
You've got all these gnome figurines lying around, and you're wondering why you have gnomes.
Yes.
They're breeding. That's the problem.
Yeah.
If you have one gnome, you're okay, but you've got 2 on your desk. Like, you gotta keep them separated.
Yeah.
Yeah, separate rooms. And I think that this could actually be tied into, you know, like the crazy man archetype or whatever. You're like, look, you got gnomes, and then like you're the psychologist. But I've noticed that, and actually I do think folk wisdom is not crazy. I think it's actually pretty useful. But I think that have you noticed this? You'll meet someone and you'll immediately, like, you won't think the name necessarily, but you'll be like, they're that kind of person. So
yeah.
They're like they act like a such and such person. They have this. I've been getting okay at it with women in particular for whatever reason.
That's where the whole thing of a Stacy and a Karen and a Brad and a Chad.
Yeah, exactly.
Come from.
That's a much better example than I was going to do. I was going to go with horoscopes, but I've come up with my own, like, horoscope, which is, I'm pretty sure, to a rough approximation. And I seem to have better luck with women for whatever reason. But I can guess their birth season.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like people born in fall act a certain way. People born in March act a certain way. People born in the summer act a certain way. People born in the winter act a certain way. And,
wow, spring only gets 1 month.
And did I say March?
Yes.
Well, yeah, that's spring, right?
It's winter, March, summer.
Yeah, that's how it goes, right?
31 days of March.
Yeah.
The season of March.
But, and I do think that is about right, actually. Yeah, it is March. It's not so much. And it might not even be fall. It's just September, I think. But I've noticed that without knowing anything about their birthday or anything, right?
Yeah.
I seem to get along the best with women born in March. And I am most attracted to women born in September, or like the fall.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of troubles getting along with women born in winter. And women born in summer...
I roughly know the birthday of one of your coworkers now.
...tend to get along with me. Do you? Is it someone I get along with or don't get along with?
Don't.
Oh. My 2 female coworkers are February and September, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but what's interesting, the one in September, I'm not going to say my birthday, and I'm not going to say hers, but I will say that we were born on the same phase of the moon, many years apart, but we were born on the same phase of the moon, which, crazy coincidence we figured that out, but we get along really good, and I was thinking, I wonder if it's because we were born on the same phase of the moon. Because we're the same person, right? Because if you're born on the same phase of the moon, you're the same person. But no, and people born in the summer tend to get along with me. Like, I get along with the people born in March, but the people born in summer tend to get along with me. Yeah. So, like, they're really friendly towards me. They're always putting out the work for me. Whereas the people in March, I'm like, oh, I just, like, can talk to this person. But they're not necessarily super, like, interested in getting along with me. And with men, it's roughly the same rules, but I find it's less accurate. Yeah. And I'm still trying to figure out the exact details, because there's a few funny, like, things here and there. But I think there is something to it, and I don't know why. But it seems to work, like, about 75% of the time. I think
there is... I don't know about the seasons, but with the Chads and Stacys and all that stuff, there is archetypical people.
Yeah, this guy's like a Chad, this guy's like this. Yeah, but I think there's a lot more than that. And I think it's a really big problem because... So I was watching... I don't know if you've ever seen the YouTube channel Magic the Noah.
No.
So he was doing...
Look, there's 3 billion YouTube channels.
Jeez.
There's 4 billion YouTube channels, and 2 billion of them produce videos.
So he makes videos I haven't liked in the past. He makes up board games, essentially. Yeah. And they're like board games in the Monopoly vein where they're really lame.
Yeah.
But the main thing he does is he gets a bunch of other YouTubers to play them, and then he's kind of the DM of the board game.
Yeah.
So the rules are a little loose.
Yeah.
And he did one recently where it was evil, like Nero-sama's clone.
Yeah.
And Vidal and 2 VTubers. I don't know who they are.
Yeah.
And where on earth am I going?
Do you know the weird thing about Evil's personality? Originally, the only difference between her and Nero was she didn't have a filter.
No, and that's all it took?
Yeah, that's like the very first difference between them is Evil could say the F word.
Right, and that was it.
Yeah. Nero would say censored and then delete the last thoughts that led her to saying censored.
I think I just had a stroke. What were we talking about just before? Because this was a point I was...
Chad Stacy's.
Yes, right. So, Evil swapped the genders of everyone on the spaceship. They're basically playing FTL.
Yeah.
But like as an RPG. And Evil is an evil genie that can like cause things to happen to prevent them from succeeding. So one of the evil things she did was she swapped the genders of everyone on the ship.
Yeah.
And so the first thing Vidal did was he found a magic lamp that only had 3 wishes while their ship was about to explode, and he wished to be a guy again.
Yeah.
And then one of the VTubers grabbed the lamp and wished he was a girl again. And then he used the final wish to be a guy again. So that was like, and then their ship was like destroyed.
Yeah.
But the girls became guys, right? The VTuber guys. And so they were acting like guys as a joke, right?
Yeah.
And the way they acted like a guy was like the most Gen Z broccoli haircut. I don't know if you've seen it, but they're like, hey, how's it going? Like, have you seen that sort of archetype?
Yes.
No guy acts like that. Like, that is like a TikTok-only person.
That is a male character from a webtoon typically designed for young women.
Yeah, it's a caricature. Even.
Yes, it is.
It's a young woman's idea of like a teenage man.
It's shonen and the other one for girls.
Yeah,
and that's the one for girls. And I cannot stand those comics because sometimes they have interesting concepts or interesting stories, but their art style and writing I despise with such a passion that if I look at them, it hurts my brain. I actually like that those Pokemon comics we had.
Yeah.
And there's the one with the girl who gets a Pikachu, and there's like the guy with mushrooms growing on him.
Yeah.
That art style, that's the girl comic art style. Like looking at that hurts my mind.
No, it's boring.
You know those Cthulhian patterns that you look at them and you can't see them properly and like it doesn't make sense? That's what that art style is to me. Like I literally...
Adventure Time does that for me as well.
Yeah, Adventure Time
that's sort of like 2B arm thing.
Yeah, Adventure Time is different, but it does that to me as well. That's a different art style, but it's way more so with that art style of those girl comics. It's like, I actually just like...
Everything has like these curves.
Yeah, it's this curves and softness and... Ugh. No, it's... I actually can't read it. Like, I can read comics, I can't actually read that. There's something wrong with it. Like, my eyes want to look away. It's like a rune of warding has been placed on the piece of paper, which makes it so I can't pay attention to it.
So anyways, they're acting like this stereotypical caricature of a guy. And then we were talking about a previous episode recently, men and women, and how I was saying that the elf from Baldur's Gate 3 is a very manly man.
Yeah.
And you were saying he's like this gay guy, basically.
Yeah.
But I stand by the fact he's a very manly man, because the problem is we have like such limited archetypes. We have the Chad and the Stacy and the broccoli hair kid.
Yeah.
And no one else is allowed to be a man. It's like, no, Lord Byron is a man.
Yeah. Ponce.
But he's a man.
Yeah.
Yes, the dandy is a very manly role.
Yes, right? A dandy is a man.
Yeah. And the only woman isn't Aphrodite or Saint Mary or Stacy or Karen. Like, there's a lot of different kinds of women. One of my coworkers in the office the other day came up to me and she's like, ever heard of this game called Outer Wilds? And I was like, yeah, it's one of my favorite games ever. She's like, oh, I just started playing it. It's really good. It's like, women don't play video games, but there's more than one kind of women.
Pick me.
Yeah, well, but that's the thing. There are pick-me women who actually are like that, right?
Yeah.
But then there are actually women who just enjoy video games.
Yeah.
Like our friend who works for like BioWare or whatever. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I think she just likes video games.
Yeah.
It's not like she's like this trying to get people's attention. And it's not like she's, she's a fit person too. It's not like she's just this like gamer, because a lot of the gamer girl types they kind of melt into like a gooey puddle person. But that's like one archetype of human, right?
Yeah.
The fat gamer girl. But that's not all of them. And I think that the trad wife, that's another one that I think is it's like online you would think all women are trad wives and all men are like the broccoli hair guy, and it's like no, that there's this huge array.
Well, there's also the chud. Like if you actually get into it, there's a lot of archetypes. Like as I said, there's the chud, and
but a lot of them don't have masculinity or femininity by the rules of the internet. I would say, like there was a I met a person once.
There's the alpha male, the sigma male, the omega male.
Just for the purposes of like protecting identities and whatnot, I met a person once, and she looked like a trans woman, right?
Yeah.
Like she's built like a square. She's got wide shoulders, flat chest.
And the saying is built like a brick shithouse.
Well, except no, because she wasn't like deep. She was like a rectangle.
Okay.
Yeah, like a flat board. It was
so built like a brick wall.
Built like a brick wall with an iron board strapped to the front.
Yeah.
Yeah, so kind of like that, right? And very hairy arms, like kind of like your arms, like about that level.
That's your point at the hairiest part. Well, it's actually right there, but
so like think like an Italian man sort of thing. So I have hairy arms too. You just can't see it.
They're nowhere near as hairy.
They're really. Look at it.
That is nothing compared.
This
to
is like I've got like a pelt. Look at this.
Nah,
it's just invisible.
It's way shorter.
No, it's not even short. Look at it. Use your
That's
eyes.
Short. I am looking at short. There's like an inch of hair here.
Yeah, what do you think this is?
That's like half an inch.
No, that's like an inch.
No, that's half an inch.
That's an inch. That's like thumb width. Anywho, so arms like an Italian pizzeria owner, right?
Arms like our Opa's chest.
Arms like a gorilla.
He's got a hairy chest.
All right. So, anyways, she had very hairy arms, right?
Yeah.
And her voice was like deeper than mine, probably, right? Like in that realm, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
But I'm like 99% sure she's just biological woman, right? But there's this huge gamut of people, right?
Yeah.
And once upon a time, 10 years ago, we'd been like, met a woman that was like that. But when I met her, I was like, oh, I hope I don't misgender this person because that's too much work to deal with, right?
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure like they were just a woman with a very deep voice and hairy arms.
Yeah.
You know, maybe she was Italian. But she's
more
still
likely to be Scottish. The Italian women aren't hairy.
But she's still a woman, right?
Yeah.
Like, and the reason I'm 99% sure she's a woman, she had a very like woman face. Like,
yeah.
It was very feminine, but not feminine in like pretty princess. It was just like there's no man that has a face that looks like that.
How big were her hands?
I wasn't looking at her hands.
How were her shoulders?
They're pretty broad. She had pretty broad shoulders. The broad had broad shoulders. But I'm like 99% sure that was just a straight up woman.
Brock Lesnar's daughter.
Yeah.
Have you seen pictures of her?
No. If she looks anything like him, though, then...
She looks like her dad.
Ugh.
But she does look like a woman.
Ugh.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah, she's a shot putter.
Oh.
She's an Olympic shot putter. She's really good at.
I imagine.
She's huge as well and ridiculously strong. It's like, you see a picture of, I think it's her mom, and her dad. It's like she got nothing from her mom. It's all her dad.
Yeah, that's a scary thought to think. Like a woman, Brock Lesnar, that's like... But there are so many different kinds of woman and so many kinds of different men.
Yeah.
And you're not a failure at like, because the other thing was she was wearing like, you know, jeans, sweater, like she wasn't dressed like a woman or like a woman in quotation marks, right?
A woman.
She was dressed like someone that was ready to do stuff.
Yeah.
Right? And she was about to do stuff. So that's why you dress that way. But I think we're poisoning ourselves, and I think this is actually, I think it's the cause of the trans movement, like the overextent of the trans movement. There is one person I met when they went by male pronouns and everything, right? And again, I have to be vague about a ton of these things here, but this was like a decade ago when I met them, and they're just a very effeminate guy, but not effeminate in like a classy dandy way.
No,
because dandies aren't effeminate. That's women misappropriated male culture of dandies.
You know, Studio C with the guy with the Jason Gray when he's dressed as the dandy with like the really tall wig and like the way too much powder on his face.
Yeah,
and like he then like slaps someone and they go flying across the room.
Yeah,
yeah, he's like absurdly strong.
Yeah,
and all the women love him.
Yeah. I like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And or even like a Lord Byron or that elf, whatever his name is from Baldur's Gate 3.
Asterion. Insecure men will see one of those dandies or Lord Byron, and they'll say you dress like a girl, but that's that man's insecurity and it's not their insecurity that they want to dress like a girl, it's their insecurity that man is so manly, they're trying to bring him down by saying
and
dress
actually
like a girl.
the truth of it is they don't dress like a girl. What happened was they were so cool,
Yeah.
women started dressing like them.
Yeah.
And then, of course, what happens is men go, ew, women like that. So,
Yeah, it's the eternal hipster
of men.
of going, oh, I don't like this anymore.
'Cause-
So eventually men are going to stop wearing jeans.
And suits.
Yeah.
That'll be very womanly. Actually, it's interesting because men are basically the hipsters of the human species, if you think about it. Because we always do the thing that isn't cool first, and then women come along. Women are the mainstream, and men are the hipsters.
Yeah.
But again, that's a very broad stroke that does not apply to the archetypes of the individual.
Yeah.
Because there are so many ways to be. Where was I going with, before? I said the dandy.
The damage to the broader trans movement and
Yeah. I don't know where I was going with that. But I'll just tie it into what I was going to tie it into. I remember what I was going to tie it into. I just don't remember how. Okay, so Sargon has been talking about the bond between humans and how how relationships are negotiated between people. Like you don't just get to choose your family, your sex, or whatever. You bond with people, and that is the meaning of life, right?
Yeah.
And I said that this is the weakness of the right, which led to the left, because they totally ignored borderline people and abuse that can happen when you're bonding yourselves to families. You need to have room for that. The hero can live in the shining city, but he has to leave into chaos.
Yeah.
And right now, Sargon is arguing only for the city. And so he recently released a video about Short Fat Otaku, where he basically said Dev is stupid and he did all these stupid things. And so Sargon failed. Like, his whole ideology just failed there, I think. Because you said the bonds mattered, and now you're attacking a friend or a former friend.
Yeah.
It's like, what you should have done is just been classy and either addressed the behavior or just not talked about it at all. Because even if you don't like him anymore, that was your friend, and that's not what you do to people that were your friends. Because now the people that are your friends right now look at that and say, okay, I'm next.
Yeah.
Because this is what you do when, like, you don't speak ill of people that you have bonds with, right? Like, it's just not classy. And Sargon, for his whole YouTube career, I'd say, has been a very classy guy. But even when they had that huge split with the Red Pill Black doxing software, which had like Shion Head advocating for the doxing software and like harmful opinions saying this is horrible, and Sargon was saying, look, just stop fighting each other. Our whole point here is that we don't like the excesses of the SJWs.
Yeah.
And now you're just attacking each other instead. We can have differences of opinions. We don't want a purity spiral. But now Sargon's doing the purity spiral. And now it was a minor thing, it was just one time, but it's like, this is why your ideology fails. And I think that's what happens when you just divide people up into tidy little groups, like the right, the left, man, woman, and
Chad, Stacy,
even then. And I think we really need to look at people. I think there is an archetypal level where you can look at people as archetypes, but I think you need to have more archetypes than you think.
Here's the thing: you went to school with a guy you could very much call a Chad.
Yeah.
However, incredibly smart guy, very well read, also acts like a complete fool, but is very genuine. But you could look at him and call him the Chad archetype, but there is so much more.
The guy that was the paladin in our D&D group?
Yes.
Yeah,
there's like, if you look at him in a lot of moments, he would be the Chad.
Yeah.
But
that's so funny to think of him as the Chad, though, because of who he is.
Yeah, but he is a goofball. He's incredibly smart. He's incredibly kind.
He was one of the contenders to be our valedictorian.
He's ridiculously strong and fit. Very photogenic.
No, he has
a superpower of photogenicness.
I was talking to a girl who went off to school in Alberta, and she said in her, like, whatever it's called, group of girls of the, like,
her coven,
her sorority or whatever, all the girls got together and they're basically like, who went to the school of the most handsome guy?
Yeah.
And so they all took out the it's really creepy if you think about it, but they all took out the picture of the most handsome guy from their school.
Yeah.
And so she pulled out this picture of my friend, and she said she won hands down.
Yeah.
Like, this guy could be a model.
Yeah.
But I would, like, if I had to choose an archetype, I think I would go with the Chad archetype in a way, because it does fit him. But you have to add in, it's like, here's a great example. In Age of Wonders, you select your race. In Age of Wonders 3, you select your race and you select your class.
Yeah.
So those are the two big divisions. So that's a lot of difference, like race and class.
Yeah.
That's two big things. There's what is that? There's like 81 possibilities right there or something?
Yeah.
There's a lot of combinations. But you choose one of those, and then you have an idea of what they're doing, right? You're like, okay, so that's what they are. But you also choose 3 specializations.
Yeah.
And that will add like a little flavor to that race-class combination.
Yeah.
It's not huge, but it does add a difference. And so that's what this is like. Like, he's the Chad archetype, but his specializations, but you'd get 2. So he's the Chad and he's the like the gamer or the nerd or the theater student, whatever you want to call it, like something along those lines. Theater student's a little harsh, but you combine those together. He's the Chad, and he's also the
Sorry, it's just thinking about at the start of Trump's second term, when they had the sort of alliance of like Elon Musk and Vivek with Trump and JD Vance.
Yeah.
It was the nerd and the jock alliance versus the theater students and the yearbook council club.
Oh, ugh. Yeah, no, nerd jock all the way.
Yeah, the nerd jock alliance against theater students and yearbook council.
But then you combine my Chad friend with like a couple specializations.
Yeah.
Like he's very much into, well, I'll dox him if I say too much about him, but he's very much into certain sciences, and he's very much into Chad doesn't do enough because he's also very athletic. Yeah. So you'd have to say like the jock or something, I guess, in those terminologies. Mm-hmm. And he's also really, really good at fighting games. So he could be the like fighting game pro sort of thing. Yeah. Yeah. There's like flavor to him, but you can get like a broad and then narrow down. And then also he's my friend, his name, insert here, who is an individual in his own right. Yeah. But when we're talking about these broader strokes of society, when you say there is left and right, and then you have to choose one, then you get something like Sargon, who has been this pillar of reasonableness for a very long time, and then he just betrays a guy because, now to be fair, Dev is kind of going this weird, just anti-everything route, but you don't go after him in the way Sargon went after him. If you want to help him, you talk to him in person, or if you say, look, I will talk about this one post he made, but I would rather, if he wanted to talk about the topic at hand, he use a different example rather than a friend.
I don't know, I haven't seen that video, or might have forgotten about, but I'm not going to make a judgment until I actually look at that more. The thing I want to say about Sargon is, I think, despite that might be a mistake, but I don't think he's a person that spirals into a pure style like that.
I think that was a mistake by him, and I think there's still plenty of good about him.
Here's the thing is,
people are allowed to make
whenever
mistakes.
Sargon makes a mistake, people freak out about it.
Yeah.
And it's a big deal to them. And on top of that, I think if you actually want to archetype for Sargon, he's the dad.
Yeah.
And one of the problems is he's a lot of people's dad. And when he tells them to behave, they get upset. And that's like a thing you see with so many people is like, oh, he's not doing the thing I want him to do. He's not calling out a really big one. He's not calling out the Jews.
Yeah.
Or it's like, he's not calling out the stream, and it's like, no, we have to be reasonable. And it's like, he's the dad, and people are upset that he's being their dad.
This wasn't him calling out Dev. This was like him like making an anti-SJW type video about him, which I don't think is something you should do. Yeah. But no, and I do think it was a mistake, but that doesn't mean like he's a bad person. People make mistakes, right?
Yeah, he's not perfect.
Yeah. But I think that it shows that his ideology is flawed, and it's not going to be successful in the long run, because you look at his audience, and his audience is these hateful people that just want to attack left-wingers for everything, and they want to attack Jews for everything. Like, he has a terrible audience, and I think it's because there isn't enough of that nuance in there is part of it. But I also think it's because people on the internet are just terrible in general. But you look at the comments on his videos, and they're like, yeah, this has been coming for a long time. Dev deserves this. Or like, Ace198 has been showing how evil Dev is, and Ace is a guy that just clips Dev completely out of context constantly and like makes videos about him. And or they'll be like, yeah, and Sargon's in the UK, so he can't talk about the real problem, but we all know what it is, and it's all this coincidence, this guy with a long nose sort of thing. Like, so much of his audience is like that. There's so many idiots in there, and even some of the Lotus Eaters, like Connor and
he's not a Lotus Eater anymore.
The new guy with the mustache. I think they're just like
Firas?
I don't even know his name, but they're just like so extreme and like confident in their correctness. And it's like, come on, you're a kid. You don't know anything.
Oh, that's not Firas. That's Luca.
No, the very British-looking man.
Yeah, that's Luca.
He looks like Neville Chamberlain.
Or he looks like Sergeant Darling.
Yeah. So like those guys, they're just like these dumb kids that think they know everything, and they're like really extreme. There's people like Stelios and Bo and Thomas who are like actually very intelligent, very thoughtful people, and Sargon. Yeah. But he keeps hiring all these extremists. They don't seem to last.
Like Josh.
Yeah.
And Harry's super extreme.
Well, Harry is actually kind of extreme, but he's borderline, I would say. But he's also...
And Dan, the most extreme man on the planet.
Dan is extreme, but he's actually a normal like dude.
Yeah.
In terms of like there was a segment where Callum and Josh Harry. Callum and Harry were like man, the stupid woke government, like, I can't believe they banned smoking from restaurants and whatnot, right? And it was like, we need to bring back, like, freedom for humans. And Dan and I think it was Bo or Sargon was like, no, that was like a really good law because it sucked. Like you might think you want freedom in that case, but it just sucks. Like you get sick, and every time you go
Carl's a smoker.
Every time you go to the restaurant, you have to come home and change all your clothes. Like you can't go anywhere. Being on an airplane is a nightmare experience. And because they just have never experienced the negative side of it. But right now what's happening is Sargon is saying, oh, we need the right wing, but the left is a result of the right wing. Like, people say, where did Trump come from? It's like, he's so awful. And they say, well, and then the answer is, of course, the left created Trump. But what we don't get is that the right created the left, like the modern left.
Yeah. Because
the right had this super, and it's because it's an endless cycle.
Yes.
And because
it's the Ouroboros.
Or it's order into chaos into order into chaos. Yes. But I wish the majority of people weren't like really stupid and had like a better view on just like it's only a 40-year span of history you need in order to see like, hang on a second, we just need to.
That's what poor V's battling against.
With is Romania going communist?
No, not that. With V's a right winger.
Yeah,
but he also likes pretty sexy ladies.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's like battling both the left and right over that.
Yeah, it's like, can we just have fun? Like,
yeah,
like, and that's the thing. Like, okay, we were talking about policing other people's virtue.
Yeah.
So someone does something. Let's say it's not as extreme as drugs, but they're addicted to YouTube videos, or they're addicted to porn, or they're addicted to romance novels, or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Do you have the right to then be like, I need to do something about that? Like, we need to ban porn. We need to limit YouTube videos so they can only play 2 hours a day. And I think it might be a case-by-case thing.
Yeah.
Like YouTube, for instance, I think I wouldn't oppose regulation on YouTube on the algorithmic side to do something like you must be able to access and alter the algorithm yourself.
Yes.
I think I would be okay with that. But I wouldn't say banning YouTube or...
Well, like on that, so YouTube Kids, right?
Yeah.
So there's someone explained how YouTube videos are made for children.
Yeah.
And it's this damn disturbing process. Whereas they have a room full of children and they show them basically video clips, and there's people observing them, and they basically like if a kid glances away for a second, they'll make a note of that, and then they'll figure out why the kid's glanced away. Like those videos are designed to completely hold children's attentions and basically make it so they're not bored for a second. They always want to watch that video. They're manufactured to be the most addictive video possible.
Yeah.
And that doesn't seem right.
No, and
it's not a creative idea of like, oh, I want to make a video for children that'll be funny and like a nice story like Little Grey Rabbit. It's like, no, how can I make something so children will watch it 1,000 times so that we can make money?
And then I think what I do every time I like get too authoritarian is I remember Dostoevsky with the Inquisitor talking to Jesus and saying, you and I wandered the desert and lived off nettles and insects, but most people can't. And so I have to guide them, I have to help them, right? And that's what the Inquisitor is saying to Jesus. And it's also the story of Orpheus, like, wait, is my wife actually behind me? I have to look back, and then she's there and she vanishes. And it's the story of Lot and his wife, where it's like, you have to trust in God not to look at the city.
Yeah.
And it's also, in a way, the story of Job, where it's like, hey, do you make it rain? Like, I got a plan.
Yeah, and it's the story of Jesus, where Jesus asks his companions not to fall asleep when they have vigil over him. That's where the whole line is like, the body is willing, but the flesh is weak, Lord. Or sorry, the soul is willing, but the flesh is weak.
Yeah, does that have the same? Can you piece it together for me? Because the concept is the trust in others, right?
Yes.
But didn't Jesus get like ticked off?
He kept asking, trust him. Maybe it's not an example.
No, I mean, it could be. I'd like to be put together because I can't do it myself. So
You have to trust in the process. He was asking them to be vigilant.
Yeah,
but it looked like he was doing nothing, so they couldn't.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Saved it. No. That makes sense. Yeah. It's like Yeah, and so they failed, like Orpheus failed and like Lot failed, and because it was just like, look, just hang on. If you lead, they will follow.
Yeah.
And I have found this is so true in my classes. I'll have like a really rambunctious, rowdy kid, and I'll just keep teaching the class, and like they'll fall in line, and they 90% of the time they do. Is 10% it's trickier. But
the 10% you go, look here, you little shit, and you drag them up to a wall and hold them by
there was actually one kid.
Look here, you little shit, you're going to pay attention to class, or maybe one of our targets going to be moving.
There was one kid if we didn't have all this HR nonsense like I was talking about with
then there might be a few more moving targets in your classes.
No, I was thinking I wanted to do, because he has a great sense of humor, and he's a good guy, but he's like so annoying in class. And so I just wanted to because like I was saying, all this like paperwork and all this, like there's just so many bad actors, you can't have any fun anymore, right? And you're wasting like 3/4 of your time just burning money on nothing, like Excel spreadsheets and whatnot. But I was thinking it would be so fun to just take him into the hall and be like, can I just talk to you for a moment? And then have like one of my coaches take over the class. Yeah. And then I'd just be to him like, look, what's the smallest possible thing we can do here? Clearly you're bored, but I need to run this class and you're causing disruption. It's making it dangerous and it's making it difficult to get anything done. And I think we could have figured something out there, right? Yeah. And then what I wanted to do was, after that would be like, all right, now I want you to I'm going to make a loud slap sound and I just want you to make a yell. And then just like, and then have him go like, wah! And then he comes back in and he's like, yeah, okay, we got it sorted. I think, like, because I think he had the right sort of humor for it. Yeah. And because I think he would like to have that sort of conversation too. Mm-hmm. But it would just be so like, but I think if you did it, then my assistant would be like, do I have to report this or something?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so I couldn't do it. But you just can't have fun, you know?
Yeah.
It's so a shame.